item on the agenda. The request was made by a selectman. The board voted to do it. And I believe we've sent another follow-up letter at least a couple of times. So.
Part of that request was also an update on their contact with the Templeton Developmental Center.
Yes, one or two meetings ago.
Yeah. So I'm not sure where that information is.
If, Jeff, you could do a follow-up on that also.
Was regarding the water, both water and electrical service for the Templeton Development Center?
Yeah, because that, that place is actually being leased. At one time, it was the largest water customer in town. If the dairy operation is in fact leased operational, perhaps there'll be another water sales agreement or something up there.
I could have them attend a future meeting and report to us. Is that acceptable?
Him, not me.
Yeah, I knew it was one of you two back there. The next item on the agenda is to discuss adjusting the hours for town departments. The override, with the passage of the override, and that was the reason given to the taxpayers for part of the override number was to bring the employees back to their hours previously to 2012 cuts. And at the time, it was discussed that the plan for, if the override failed, the plan of layoffs would be November 1st. We never really planned on the override passing. As far as, a hard place, if the override passes, we will do this on this date. For, I think, maybe obvious reasons. So now we have to decide, the board has to decide, and my view is, since we never really set that date, unlike the cuts, layoffs potential was November 1st, we never really talked about or planned through a date out for increasing the hours. I don't know if we have to actually set that in stone tonight. The board would need to decide, one, do we stay at 4 days a week, go back to 5? If we stay at 4, what days would be the long hours? What days would be, to get 40 hours? How we arrange that in 4 days? My one thought that popped up in my head about this was the Monday holidays. I don't know if I think there's 13 of them or whatever the number is just to keep that. I would keep that in my mind. So when we set hours, if we get locked into Monday being one thing, then we have to adjust whenever that holiday comes up, and townspeople have to remember, are they open today on Monday, or today's a holiday, and adjusting the hours. Thoughts, Ken?
The money that was approved at the special town meeting, is that sufficient to, those individual line items, is that sufficient to go back to 5 days a week if that's what we chose to do, or were those figures based on
It was based on
full?
the 40 hours.
40
Whether
hours.
it's
It
40
funds,
hours
yeah.
in
It
5
funds
days.
40 hours.
Or 4 days.
So
It's-
over 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, 7 days.
Hey,
40 hours.
Hey.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know.
But yeah, that was whatever, the 12 hours.
We had a department head meeting, we discussed this. The employees naturally like having Friday off. They said they would do a long day and then, spread the rest of the hours across the remainder of the week. The town clerk already has Monday evening hours. I don't think there's anything sacred about that, it's just a tradition that it's Monday night. They expressed that they would be happy doing Monday evenings, but then you'd have to move it every time there's a Monday holiday. And of course, we're always here on Monday nights, it's not a problem to us, we do 12 hours all the time on Mondays, but it might make more sense for the public to make it a different, like Tuesday night. If town offices are open Tuesday nights, you don't have to think, is this a Monday holiday or not? It's just Tuesday night and it's established, and it's very simple for everybody to know that on a Tuesday night, unless it happens to be Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, the town offices will be open till either 7 or 8 o'clock. There is another question that is raised. Under the Fair Labor Standards Act, you are required to give employees that work a long shift like that a paid or unpaid meal break, but they cannot stay in the office. They have to take a break. They have to, leave, they can go home, they can go out to eat, but they can't work straight through at their desk and be accountable for that time.
Well, I think, we're here to benefit the taxpayers. So I think having a long night or an evening when the town offices are open does benefit the residents, that work during the day. I mean, it's difficult sometimes to, work your job and do, your business with the town during, shortened daytime hours. So I like the idea of having a night, an evening where we're open late. I also think having the Friday off is a nice benefit for the employees, especially since they're the employees that have been taking the hits for year after year after year, so that's, my opinion. And I agree, a Tuesday or a Wednesday is much better than having the Monday as the long day.
My concern is that it's just consistent throughout the town, so that when you're trying to do business in the town, you don't have to remember that, oh, it's Tuesday and they only work till 3. And then for one department, but the other department's open till 5. That kind of stuff that goes on now. We have varying hours depending on what department it is. And I would just like to see it be consistent, what we do across town, so that people can do business in town.
Yes,
Was it anything detrimental to the town, was it detrimental to the town when the hours were cut? Were people upset, not people who worked, but people who came in to do business with the town? Was there any time where they got a little upset because an office wasn't open?
We still get people, like, I'll come in on a Friday and there are people trying to pay their bills.
Yeah, well,
their
that's
taxes
what I'm
on
trying to
Friday.
say.
They
You
do
know,
still do that.
I used to work, well, never mind, I used to make time and I used to schedule time and whatever for, the week, from Monday through Monday. We always had to be covered, whether there was one person or two. Usually if there were 2 people, one would stay and then the other one would have the other day off. Like, for instance, you cut Friday was the day that everybody had the day off. If there were 2 people in that office, one would work one Friday, the other would work the other Friday. So there was a continuum of every office being open. And that's where I see that, the only thing I see that was wrong about you guys saying, I like Friday. Everybody would like a long day weekend. I think it's wonderful. But you're working for the people of the town, not for yourself.
Well, I think if we were gonna close one day a week, Friday would be it, because I know most people on Fridays aren't thinking, gee, I gotta go pay my tax bill. It's not-
Yeah, it's just like Monday, you know, I love to have Monday off too, because boy, a night, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday off was just terrific. Because if you go to the Cape, you can beat the traffic. You know, that was the way I looked at it. But,
And
you
you
know,
do.
it's a job.
Yeah.
It'd be just like shutting down a hospital. Well, you can only come in, the ER, for example, well, you can only come in from 10 to 7, you know, and this is what's happening in this town. People are getting, I'm sorry, I'm upset. It's a privilege to have a job when you're working. And I am a citizen, a taxpayer, and if I want to come in on a Friday to pay my taxes, I expect someone to be there. Because there are 2 people in that office.
But, go ahead.
My concern is with the highway department, we don't have many daytime customers. Billing right now is slow contractors, you know, they come in during the course of the daytime, so I understand what, you know, Julie's saying, be consistent with all the departments, but I think some departments are gonna be, should be exempt from nighttime hours.
Can I address that? It was discussed, you are exempt, end of discussion.
Okay. Did not know that.
So there.
Yeah, no, we just haven't.
I
had a
was
chance.
just wondering if it could be a combination of the two, you know, have like longer hours one day and maybe work till noon on Friday. You know, my son, several Fridays attempted to come in and pay a tax bill, so, I mean, it does happen. But then the other question was, does anybody have any idea where you're busy around Friday, as for people coming in, busy around Friday versus Monday? You know, maybe close on Monday.
I don't know, off the top of my head, I don't think that's been kept. I just know from being in here pick any day of the week, being in here like 3:15 or 3:30 and the door might be open and somebody will walk in, hey, can I pay you? I'm sorry that the town office is closed at 3. And my feeling is not, as far as being open, I mean, closing, you know, only being open 4 days a week, the money that's, the savings where, you know, the heat's lowered, the lights aren't on, this and that. And if it's, I think, maybe I'm wrong, but they've been closed on Fridays for quite a while. I know there's still some people that come, don't realize, forget, but generally, you know, people know that it's not open on Friday. But being open late, like I said, I've been in here 3:15, 3:30. Somebody want, you know, if you don't get out of work, if you work down near Boston, you ain't getting home at 3 o'clock unless you take time off.
Well, that's why I wondered maybe a
Yeah.
combination. Or the other thing is, if you were closed on Mondays, then you wouldn't have, I mean, because on a holiday week, then you've only got 3 days that you're open. An issue too.
So,
I would say that really, try to answer your question, I would say the last 3 or 4 days before your taxes are due are probably
The
the
busiest, yeah,
busiest.
I can, yeah.
So it doesn't make any difference if it's a
Right.
Monday or a Friday or whatever, but
Yeah,
if you're talking about busy days.
right.
And speaking of that, taxes are due on Friday, just to let you know.
And you're not open.
yeah, no,
You can pay online, 24/7.
yes.
But is this, you're trying to, everybody work 40 hours? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
How
the
do you
people who
manage?
who had 40 hours
Yeah.
before they were cut to get that back. And the selectman's office, like the collector, the treasurer, and the assessors, the town clerks, where people do business. You know,
If they work late on one day, do they get time off the next day? How does that work?
Yeah, Friday's off.
if you can,
They have Fridays
well, if you
off.
do the,
Yeah, they want
like,
the
you'd
long
have to figure
weekends.
out the hours for, if you do a 4 days.
Yeah.
You know, if you do 12 hours one day, then you gotta do a 10 and a 10 and a 8, or a 9 and, you know, in 4 days.
But if they have to take an hour off to go home,
Are you game?
you know, if they're gonna be open till 7:30, let's say, and they have to take a supper out from 5 to 6 or whatever, are you gaming? I just wondered if,
The way
you know.
there.
But I can see where they need an hour off.
So, this is not an issue, we'll do it
Makes
tonight.
sense to have, it makes more sense to have an office closed one day, either Friday or Monday, because then you don't have to have the heat on. And winter's coming, you can always make another adjustment in the spring. I mean, it must help some to turn it down.
You still have to heat it at night, when they're here at night,
Yeah,
so.
but you don't have that, we have it as warm. Turn it down.
It's warmer in the daytime with the sun than it is at
That
night.
brings us up, when's our next meeting?
12.
Oh, the ball game's on tonight.
Oh, right on.
Okay.
Nothing happens till after 10, now,
Jeff?
just remember that.
Yes,
Are there
ma'am.
any offices that only have one person in them? Where being open late would be an issue? I mean, when you say late, what are you talking?
Well, 7 or 8, depending,
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
7.
8 at latest.
Well, places like the Highway Barn with Gina's by herself, the cemetery, she's only there, I mean, so many, she's only like 20 hours or so. Those officers, they, you know, like the Conservation Commission, the secretary is like 6 hours a
5 hours.
week, 5 hours. You know, 6 hours. Carl's here, you know, 20 hours. But the people that were working the 40 hours prior to 12, and mainly, at least I see it as the offices where people, town employees or the public, get a, you know, collector,
Right.
selectman's office, you wanna come in and get a permit
But
or
none of those
information.
offices are an office where there's gonna be one secretary working by herself until 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night, is what I'm getting
Yeah.
at. Safety issue.
Yeah,
And what about the town clerk?
the clerk, she's already,
She's open till 7 PM every Monday night.
Is she alone?
already.
Yes, she is
Yeah.
alone.
And the assessor Luann would be there. But, another option, I guess, would be open early.
3 o'clock.
If, you know, that,
For most of the, I would say that, I can't think of any exceptions. For those people that got their hours to 45 hours, there's generally a part-time person also in that office. So I mean, for department heads, they could probably work out that,
well, the assessor's not right now, doesn't.
but that's the only one right now. And that's only because you lost the deputy assessor, that's all.
Do we want to
But
just,
this,
on the 12th?
on our next meeting.
If you're gonna cut hours, you better get after your building inspector, make sure he gets his hours in. Instead of 12 days a week.
And would you like me to poll the staff again or be prepared for any discussion?
I think we should do it the way it is. Now ran, okay.
You can, I guess. Anybody got the agenda for that?
Not comfortable with paying taxes on Friday. Well, they have to pay
Motion to-
it that day, you know, we can't pay it.
Just bring this up in the next, carry this over to the next meeting, I guess is what
Yeah,
I'm
to
saying.
table it. Yeah. I make a motion to table this discussion till the next Board of Selectmen meeting.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, any further discussion? Seeing none. Julie?
Yes.
Doug? Ken?
Yes.
And yes.
Already paid those.
All right,
11, 12, 13.
and Bud, since you came in, you have a question for the board.
I do, Mr. Chair.
Might need that for upstairs.
There is it's a spec sheet of the two different plows. We need to replace one of our snow plows. It was used when we bought it. It was well used when we bought it, it's still used. We've had problems with it. I wasn't able to give you a colored copy of it earlier today.
How much is it gonna cost?
50 cents, well, I had to kill 2 trees.
No. What's it gonna cost?
Oh, the plow,
More than
No, I'm
$1,000.
okay. As everything is cheap these days. The plow that I'm recommending that the town purchase is, it's made by Wassa. Wassa and Everest are the same company, but its model number is called a Vortex plow.
Actually, they are two different companies, two different plow. They are all owned by Schmidt Engineering and Equipment, who makes Wausau plows.
Okay, I'm just reading it out.
Oh, no.
Thank you for that research. The one I'm recommending is a Vortex plow. It's got a higher discharge side on it for stacking up snow when we have those heavy snowstorms. Currently, right now, the second sheet I gave you with a little folded ear on it, these are the plows that we've been purchasing for the town over the last several years. They've been a good plow, good heavy-duty plow, they've really stood up. The only difference between these two plows is one has, if it makes any sense to you, one has a 45-inch discharge height. The one I'm recommended is a 54. And all it does is enable us to stack the snow up a little higher when we have to push or widen the road a little bit. It's just a little easier.
And just for, if anybody's interested what he's talking about, I'm not a very good drawer, but this is the cutting edge, this is the road base. So when he says 45 inches or 54 inches or 36 inches, it's the distance from here to the top of the plow. The cutting edge is down here, this is the mold board. So if he says 45 inches, that's how high the plow is. If he says 54, it's just higher, just in case somebody was interested in that.
Learn something new.
The difference being with a 45-inch plow, you get going 15, 20 miles an hour. You know, it just knocks, 45-inch plow just tends to knock it right back to the ground again. If you already have a snow bank there, you can't roll the snow up over, hence the snow falls back in your tracks again. So, I mean, they make plows that are a lot higher than 54 inches, but
Yes, they do.
we don't.
I have a question.
Yes.
And you just talked about 15 to 20 miles an hour. Do you have a speed that you tell your guys not to go beyond? Like 15 miles an hour? I mean,
Our operating procedure is 10 to 15 miles an hour on pretty much any other roads we've got.
okay. And
There are times that you will hit 20 miles an hour going down Dudley Road, you know, unless you're riding your brakes all the way down, but, you know, it's driver, you know, my preference is to keep the speed around between 15 and 20,
And
no
reason-
more than 20.
okay, the reason I ask is, and I wouldn't say it should be a preference, it should be a policy. Cutting edges, steel cutting edges, it's a piece of steel that is bolted on the bottom of a snowplow blade. It's the wear item on the blade. They cost, depending on your thickness, a 5/8 thick is like $167 a piece. And the faster you drive, the faster they wear out. The slower you drive, the longer they will last. You increase speed if you catch something, a curb, drain basin,
Rock in the
anything.
road.
the faster you're going, you have more tendency you have to break stuff. So, on Route 2, we don't plow any faster than 15 miles an hour. You get paid by the hour, plus, like I said, if you hit something, the slower you're going, the less tendency you have to break stuff. And when you break stuff, it costs money. So,
We're on top of that, Jeff.
I
all-
just,
all
I don't
day
think it
long.
should be a driver preference. It's taxpayer trucks, it's taxpayer equipment, it's taxpayer money when it breaks. So I think there should be a policy where, no more than 15 miles an hour. And I know you can't ride in the truck and enforce 15 miles an hour, but that's my feeling. And it's from experience.
One of my guys is sitting right in the back of the room there, he knows
So
that.
I know David.
I think Dave can contest that when a truck comes in the highway barn and I see excessive sand on areas of the vehicle that it shouldn't be on, he knows that I
We get chewed
know.
up.
And I'm not saying that
We get
Dave's
chewed up.
right.
No, I've done it. I've done it.
I've turned around and said, hey, that truck's been going too fast, slow it down. When I say, 15 miles an hour is really about the average. There's a lot of times we're plowing at 7, 8, 9 miles an hour because of road conditions. You just can't go that fast, or the snowstorm will not let you go that fast. But when I said 15 to 20, I'm making a general statement. It's never exceeds that.
The state used to say 80 on Route 2.
Yeah. Oh, even on the main road, I'm running the grader, I can't get, if I can get 18 miles an hour with a good tailwind and somebody pushing me, I'm lucky. But anyways, the cost of these plows, the one I'm recommended is $9,650. That is truly my first choice. The price of the other plow is $9,070.
Okay, so this one is 90/70.
If that's the Everest.
Well, they're
The
both
Vortex is
It's
$9,650,
50.
made in Canada. And at this point, the earliest delivery I could get on it would be looking at the end of November. Unless I can get a truck up there earlier for a shipment.
Okay. After I saw this, and was made aware of this was coming on, and I spoke to you about the different kinds of plows, I did some checking, and it's a company that I do business with, myself and my brother, but we also do business with J.C. Madigan. If you're in snow and ice, you do business with them all, H.B. Fairfield, MHQ, J.C. Madigan's, E.W. Sleeper. You do business with them all. So you know everybody. So I called, it's a company called Penway. They're in Leominster, Mass. And for this style plow, the $9,070, you can get an 11-foot Henderson with a trip edge, power angle plow, stainless steel moldboard is 7,000. Let's see, maybe let me get this. Excuse me, let me get this right. Cutting edge strip. I'm sorry. It would be $8,662. However, if you go with just a steel plow, you subtract 803 for the stainless and the 542, so it would have that little flared ear on the side. But even stainless steel, it's $1,000 cheaper. This blade here, with the moldboard trip, that's the whole blade tripping. Stainless steel moldboard, he priced at $7,683. If you skip the stainless steel and just get a carbon steel, it's $6,880. He's getting me a quote on a plow like the Vortex. It's a power angle. It's 36 inches low on this end and 54 high. I caught him, he was in his pickup truck, so he sent me an email over his phone to my house. It's quite a bit of different money. Yeah, as I said, you look at all these plows, Wausau, Everest, American, Frank, Snogo. Like I said, Schmidt owns all of them. I have both kinds of plows. I have Wausau, Everest, Henderson. Henderson and the Everest are the better of the three, mainly because they have the circle undercarriage frame here. Wausau's don't, and the center pin tends to wear out and it gets really ratty. I got a 9-foot, a 22-foot, and two 11-foots. I got an 11-foot Everest, and I will say it's a good rugged plow. I have two Hendersons, and you're welcome to come up and look at them. But they're less money. And snow and ice, you never can tell what we're going to get for storms. So on that side of the fence, you have no control over your expenses. You know, with deficit spend, you can spend more than you set aside. Because you can get, 10 storms one year, the next year you can get 30. They can be 2 inches to 30-inch storms. You get 5 or 6 30-inch storms. They last several days. If they're at night and they're weekends, you get a lot of freezing rain. You throw a lot of product down. You don't have any control over the weather. But when we're buying materials, plow bolts, cutting edges, snow plows, when you can save money, I believe it's due diligence to do so. As I said, we own these different kind of plows. Matter of fact, the owner of the company, I'll call him for you, you can talk to him. They also
That'd be great, because I don't have that contact information, and you and your brother being in that line of business, you have other contacts that I'm not aware of, so I'm all about saving money, so I don't care where we buy the plow, we need a plow.
But this is a quote, this is the town of Templeton price. This isn't, special discount. This is what Penway would sell. And as I said, that the plow that you're talking about, similar to the Vortex, it's high on one side. It's like a one-way plow, but it is power angle. He's getting me a quote on that. He sells cutting edges and stuff to the town of Westminster because they are cheaper than J.C. Madigan's. I'm not bad-mouthing J.C. Madigan's. One thing about them, if you need something, you go there, they generally have it. But you have to pay for not only turning the lights on and the heat, but you gotta pay to have that inventory there. I mean, it's a lot of money
We've had
invested.
good luck with J.C. Madigan, they're very close to us if we need a part right off the bat, so.
And like I said, we do
But I'm
business
just
with them
saying.
both, with them all. So it's not, it's just in this instance, through something that I know about, and you can get the same, as I said, you come up to the garage, you can look at the plow, both kinds.
I appreciate your
All
help on
three.
that, I really do.
Everest, this is about saving taxpayer dollars where
I
we
agree
can
with
send
you.
it.
I'm all about that.
How soon would we be if we went with a lower price plow?
Availability.
When can you have it?
Yeah.
I can find that information out. I'll give you his contact. You can have, this is the handout, both plows.
Great.
The prices, description, the options, his phone number, his name, everything is right there.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I told him when I spoke with him on the phone that he may be hearing from from the town. Like I said, I took it upon myself to contact him and to get that information, to see what his price was, one, and if it was equal or in this case, way less, it's saving the taxpayers money, and I thought it was, that's what we're
Where are they
supposed to do.
located out of?
Leominster.
Henderson's out of Leominster?
No, Penway is out of Leominster. Henderson is manufactured in Iowa. Same general areas where,
So the location in Leominster, do they carry a line of
Yes.
replaceable parts? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
oh yeah. He just
They're
got a
close.
tractor
Okay.
trailer and a half load of cutting edges. I mean, it's not a,
Okay.
day,
Well,
night.
we've been
I
looking to
wouldn't
buy
s-
cutting edges, we've been checking prices everywhere, we have for the last few
Yeah.
years. We've been buying them through Atlantic Broom, which, you
They're
know,
very high.
very high priced.
And I mean, again, I'm not bad mouthing them, it's just, like I
Yeah.
said, you pay for the heat, the lights, you gotta pay for that inventory. Like I said, we've done business with all of these outfits. And we're all about, it's the quality and the price. It's
I'll
two
follow up with this
things,
tomorrow.
two things to look at. And like I said, I know him, the owner. And I was upfront with him, I said, look, this is for the town, this isn't, Jeff Bennett buying this thing, this is for town, the municipality, so, the price is the price, for this is the plow, and, the other one, like I said, he's gonna get the price, it may be sitting in my email when I get home, but I'm just trying to save snow and ice taxpayer money where and when we can.
Well,
And it's not a mom and pop, like I said, he just got a tractor trailer and a half load of cutting edges, and he sells to the town of Westminster.
why I came before the board tonight was just to see if the board would approve purchasing an 11-foot reversible plow at the best price we can get. I mean,
And
and because Mother Nature is gonna be nipping us shortly.
I might see some snowflakes on Wednesday.
I hope not.
Yes.
I saw some Sunday.
I'm sorry, but I kinda like that. I know, like I said, just from Ladder Hill on Route 2 to Fitchburg, that's the only place that has the snow.
Let's just get trick-or-treating first, and then
Yes.
we can talk
Yeah.
snow.
Do you need a motion to allow Bud to purchase a plow? Because if we wait until November 12th,
And if I could, if the chair wouldn't care, I'd happy to go through you and Jeff Ritter or any other member of the board when we find out which one we exactly want, what the price is. I'm just looking for approval to buy a plow. We're down 2 small trucks. For the members that don't know, we had to take 2 trucks off the road that normally plow for us. So one of the trucks that I want to put this reversible plow on, is the man sitting right there who runs South Road area up there, and he always had a small truck, which we took off the road. He's gonna be working by himself, so he needs a plow that he can, put the snow where it needs to go instead of, he had a one-way plow and it all went one way
One way.
in somebody's driveway, so this is the purpose of it. Trying to say it quickly.
Now you know.
Take a picture of him,
No,
that's the
I didn't go
guy.
by. I didn't go by.
so I will make a motion that the highway superintendent purchase a plow in the most cost-efficient manner. How's that?
Second?
All right, motion made and seconded, any further discussion? Mr. Mitchell?
Yeah, I have found several pieces of cutting edge on Boylston Road. I find this hard to believe, I just wonder if Bud wants it back.
Scrap value, turn them
Where
in.
now? Well, maybe if we fixed the road, he would, save a
Okay.
little on his cutting edges.
That's on the spring to-do list, you know.
Bucket
Of
list.
2058. All right, Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, half of Jeff's road's disappearing into the swamp.
I wish half of mine would.
Yeah. One last thing, before we adjourn. A while back, the Board of Selectmen received a open meeting law complaint from a Mr. Isaac Madsen. We discussed it along with the board's response. It was sent to the Attorney General's office. A copy was sent to Mr. Madsen of our response. We received a a response from the Attorney General's office. It says, this is sent to Mr. Mattson, it's CC to Jeffrey Bennett, Chairman of the Board of Selectmen. It says, and it's dated October 23rd, 2013, Dear Mr. Mattson, we understand that on or about July 19th, 2013, you filed a complaint with the Templeton Board of Selectmen, the board, alleging a violation of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, subsection 18 through 25. The public body is required to notify our office of the complaint and any remedial action taken to address the complaint. General Law 30A, 23B, and 940, Code of Mass Regulations 29.05, Section 5. Our office received notification and a response from the board on August 9th, 2013. Under the open meeting law, a complaint is ripe for review by our office. That is ripe for review by our office when the complainant files a copy of the initial complaint with the Division of Open Government, provided that at least 30 days have passed since the complaint was filed with the public body. General Law 38, Section 23B, 940, Code of Mass Regulations 29.05, Section 6. We sent you a letter on September 12, 2013, stating that if we did not receive the original complaint from you by September 30th, 2013, we would presume the action taken by the public body, the board, was sufficient and would close this file. Our office currently has no record of a complaint filed by you in this matter. Therefore, we now consider this matter closed. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions or believe anything stated in this letter to be inaccurate. Hayne Rush, Assistant Attorney General, Division of Open Government. So that open meeting law complaint, we filed our response to it, and apparently it was satisfactory because no appeal was filed. With that, nothing further?
Jeff, just one question to Jeff. Is it possible to get a list, or when would it be available to view the list of contracts you did receive from Light and Water?
They have it right here, it's public, so see me after the meeting.
Okay.
Give you one of these.
Thank you.
Run through the Xerox. One thing, Mr. Bennett.
Yes.
The letter to Senator Brewer, and Julie just noticed a typo when she read it, but it is ready, subject to correcting a typo for the signature of the board as corrected. If you want to read it, you can. If not, you'll read it when you sign it. Okay, we'll have it in the office, you can sign it at any time.
Yeah.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Just make one comment.
Yes.
Is that's this Saturday, the inauguration of Gilman Waite?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Oh, that's Saturday at 1 p.m.
1 p.m. at
Yes.
the playground.
Refreshments will be served. Thank you, Ken, that's absolutely right. If you can, come on up and enjoy the new playground that has been built.
And now I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, though, I forgot about that. Motion made, seconded, none? Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And yes. Thank you all for coming. I will be on the Cape fighting the traffic this weekend
That's right.
for my last one.